Curated health is about creating a lifestyle of wellness, one that is not something that is outside of how you're already living. So it's basically incorporating these pillars of health and making them fit naturally with what you already have going on, so that being healthy and being well is just a part of your life. It's not anything that is in conjunction with, if that makes sense. When my dad got sick, he had a massive stroke at a very young age, and it just made me realize that, health is something that you can't take for granted, right? Because it can be taken away from us if we don't focus on it. But not focus in a way where you're obsessing over it, but making sure to be living it as a part of your day-to-day. And so Curated Health really started when I figured out that I wasn't living this lifestyle of wellness every day. And it actually didn't even begin with food. It didn't begin with nutrition. It began with this mindset that I had. I was at work and I didn't like it, and I was frustrated and I felt stuck. And, I realized that I needed to do something about it. And once I realized that I needed to do something about it and I started taking action, everything else fell into place, right? So not just my mindset and how I was moving in the world, but then my thought process behind how I fueled myself, right? And my wanting to have more energy so that I could figure out how I wanted to move in the world. And so all of those things kind of came together and kind of clicked for me. And I think that was really the beginning of Curated Health, because I really needed to understand how to curate a life that I was happy with, how to create this life that I was going to be happy with, because I was going to have to be the one living it for 50, 60, 70 years more. And I just knew I couldn't continue in that same cycle. Anybody who knows me or has read the blog or watched a video knows that I'm a total Francophile. And really, France is a big part of the essence of Curated Health. And it's because of the culture in terms of how they live, right? It's this non-negotiable for them to live well. It's a non-negotiable to have good, fresh food that's fulfilling and is healthy, right? And to make sure that they're incorporating family and friends and self-care and movement into their day. It's not anything that they have to check off or they'll get to later. It is a part of them. It's an expectation. And the more that I travel and I meet people, I make friends who are of that mindset and from that culture, the more I understand, they got it figured out, this is it. It is the way it should be. Health and wellness shouldn't be separate from life. Because that's what fuels you, right? In order to live life. And you can't do anything without being well. Let's not even talk about health, being well, right? It all starts from being well. And, it's just indoctrinated. It's innate. It's a part of how they move. And I think it's a really beautiful thing. And I think that if more people took on that understanding of what it is to be and how it is to live well, then we would have a lot less people that were unhappy with themselves, whether that's the way that they look or, their energy levels or, where they're at in life. When I first started teaching, I was horrible at it. And then I had to study my craft. And I went to a conference, and the keynote speaker was like, he just said, if you're the only one who's getting what it is you're teaching in the room, then you shouldn't be in the room, right? And so I think that triggered me to understand that, number one, just because like whoever's receiving the information that I'm getting, just because I'm passionate about it or I think it's important, doesn't mean that it's of importance to them. So how do I convey, how do I teach, how do I motivate somebody to connect with the information that I have for them so that they can utilize it to their benefit, right? And so I think that when it comes to teaching, it's not even necessarily the knowledge. You can have all the knowledge in the world and still not be able to convey that to somebody for them to utilize. So at the end of the day, there's no secret sauce to it. It is just being able to connect with people and understand what it is they need, right? Because we're all different. We all have different needs. We all have different lifestyles. We all have different schedules and, responsibilities. So understanding what it is that person that's standing before you in that moment needs, and making it and creating it and curating it for them, or showing them how to do that for themselves. And I think that's the